Cancelled games. They are the bane of every gamer's existence. Every gamer has had a game they anticipate be cancelled, or will at least have one in the future. Even 2017 already has victims, with the cancellation of Scalebound. If you saw a few videos I have on this channel, it's evident I have a passion for cancelled games, and the research of them. To some, cancelled games just come and go. When you realize all the money, man-hours, and effort that goes into some of these projects, you realize their importance and that they deserve a discussion of their own. So with that, I want to talk about some of the games that are cancelled that I wish I would have got to play if they'd came out. I already covered this on a video from the past, but I still want to talk about it because it's the key unreleased game that I wish would have come out, and it's the game I ultimately think of when people mention cancelled games. Crash Landed began pre-production as early as October 2008, which was automatically after the development of Crash Mad Over Mutant. It was a reboot, and it was clear through the story and gameplay changes. The story, as far as we know, was an origin story. It was about Dr. Neo Cortex scattering locked up baby bandicoots in cages, and it was Crash's job to save them. Crash Landed took place in a semi-open world akin to Crash Twinsanity, with linear design sprinkled in to progress the story. This time, Crash had a health bar and an invention system in actual exploration. This game appeared as if it was going to be the best in the series. No gameplay of the console versions has been revealed at the time of this video's release, but the game looked promising, as there is enough concept art, animation, and screenshots to adjust an opinion on. But luck was not on this game's side. During development, much of Radical Entertainment was laid off, cancelling 3 games. Those who fortunately did not lose their job were left to work on Crash Landed and Prototype 2. Crash Landed was vastly different to the cancelled projects, leaving a lot of creative differences among the team at Radical Entertainment. One aspect that stuck out across developers that I had talked to was that Crash Landed wasn't fun. There weren't many aspects to gameplay besides rescuing the baby bandicoots, and the open world was too small. And, not to mention, Crash Landed had twice the budget that Mad Over Mutant had, which left Activision wary about pursuing development of the game because Crash Landed would have retailed at the same price that previous titles had, so they had ended development. Production had ended with Crash Landed being an early prototype. A few demos were made, but they weren't anything near shippable. To quote an anonymous ex-Radical Entertainment employee I spoke with, "Somewhere out there is a full 5-minute demo that was made just before the team was shut down. I didn't have a chance to grab it, but I'm sure that the art director and at least the producer have it saved somewhere for the demo reels." Nearing the launch of the PlayStation 3, SCE London Studio, the developer behind the recent game PSVR Worlds, announced 8 Days. 8 Days may have been the most technically advanced and one of the most ambitious games to come out of the PS3's early life, if it had released. The story of 8 Days would have ran over the course of 8 days, shocking, and would have given you the option to choose between 2 players, both being of opposite morals. The bad character storyline would have had him seeking revenge on a mob syndicate. The other storyline would follow the good character, a detective who was coincidentally looking for the same mob syndicate who kidnapped his son. The 2 characters would eventually cross paths and work together. The in-game world would have set across 8 US states, making it the largest video game map at the time. 8 Days featured a dynamic clock, which would have utilized a fixed day and night cycle according to the time of the day that was selected on the PlayStation 3 system. 8 Days was said to be jaw-dropping. The gameplay was akin to a more open Uncharted, but with 2 Nathan Drakes, and being packed with action set pieces. And that's evident with the gameplay currently shown, but of course, there are reasons why it was cancelled. Many believe it was cancelled because there wasn't going to be an online multiplayer component, but the game had an online co-op mode planned, because the core of the game relied on being played alongside your ally. But actually, it was cancelled because it had already soaked up most of its massive budget, and would only make profit if 30% of the PlayStation 3 user base had purchased it, while most very good games only sold 10%. And this was when the PlayStation 3 was in its infancy, and hadn't sold as well as Sony had anticipated. To top it off, there's expected a year of production remaining before 8 Days was finished. Ever since the PlayStation Move was announced, one specific game was noticeably teased and sprinkled throughout many promotions trying to hype the motion controller add-on. Teased since 2009, we would eventually find out 3 years later that that game would be Supermassive's Until Dawn. Yes, at one point in time it was exclusive to the PlayStation 3, and was a PlayStation Move title. The story of Until Dawn revolves around a group of classmates staying at a cabin on a ski lodge during the anniversary of their friends going missing. Staying there to get some closure on their friend's disappearance, expected chaos ensues which may lead to their fate, depending on the player's choice. The Until Dawn we know today is very different in contrast to the PlayStation 3 version from a gameplay perspective, because the PlayStation 3 version actually had gameplay. player would guide the characters with a PlayStation Move navigation controller, while using a PlayStation Move motion controller to aim the flashlight to see in the dark or see items of interest. There would still be a dynamic story in terms of how the player decides to play, but what I can notice is that you discovered mystery items in your environment, which may influence your real-time actions when a situation is occurring. Not only did the story and gameplay make differences, but there was also an entirely different cast of characters. The only remaining voice actor from the PlayStation 3 version was Brett Dalton. The PlayStation 3 version also had Hollywood writers, and it's safe to assume that the production of the game was going greatly. And it was, though from an anonymous, reliable source, I was able to obtain why the PlayStation 3 version was cancelled in favor to the PS4 version. Until Dawn was set to release in 2013. The PlayStation 4 was upcoming and highly anticipated, and Sony was seeking new games for their platform. To add on to that, Supermassive was wanting to make a better looking game than they can get from the PlayStation 3, so there was a push from both of them. And the cherry on top was the state of the market for the PlayStation Move. By November 2012, 15 million PS Move controllers were sold to consumers, which sounds like a good number, but keep the games in mind that required 2 Move controllers to be fully functional, and the games that had offline co-op. Though the statistic specifies motion controllers, this could also include the sales and navigation controllers. Adding the likeliness of a PlayStation Move owner to buy Until Dawn, and the risk of dishing out a full-on AAA game on a weak platform spelled disaster. I'd personally like to thank P2P Online for obtaining a build of the PS3 version of Until Dawn and releasing gameplay for it. There's an annotation on the screen linking to his extended gameplay of Until Dawn, along with another annotation to subscribe to his channel. This may be perhaps the most obscure game featured in this video, and it might be the most interesting to me. Spyro Ever After was a pitch created by Knowledge Adventure, most famous for their Jumpstart line of games. Spyro Ever After was set to be an educational Spyro game, which featured Spyro the Dragon traversing through levels designed after the settings of famous fairy tales. Not much is known about this pitch. I've been contacting ex-Knowledge Adventure employees about Spyro Ever After for over a year now, with limited results. Everybody I've contacted either faintly remembers the project, or worked on another game at the time. I've received one promising response with a little bit of information and something to show for. Spyro Ever After's pitch was a short CGI clip, but it wasn't greenlit for prototype. Here's a short clip from that pitch that ex-Knowledge Adventure employee allowed me access to. Like I said, there is next to no information on this game. I'm still seeking information from people who may have worked on it, and if I get any luck, I'll release a separate video on it. I feel bad for canceled games. Think of your favorite games, from the ones that defined your childhood, to the ones that are great to play with others, and even the ones that have changed your perspective on life. Imagine if those never came to light. That's why I appreciate canceled games. There's a strange curiosity I feel when I hear about a game that was never released. I try to give it a kind of attention and appreciation it will never receive by the masses because I know it deserves it. Many developers pour their souls to the games that they work on, and are emotionally driven to the completion of their games. And it's unfortunate that some fall through and never see the shelves of stores or are never played by the public. So with that, I encourage you to thank any developer who has contributed to one of your favorite games, and let them know that you're thankful for their effort that shaped the mold that game holds. Thank you for watching.